r/AskReddit, nsfw, what's a deep, dark rabbit hole to research when bored? This should give you an hour or two. List of unusual deaths. https://en. Wikipedia. org/wiki/list_of_unusual_deaths. Shipwrecks. Been absolutely obsessed with them the past few days. There's so much to discover and learn about, and so much corruption as well as just interesting circumstances that these huge machines go down in. And adding to that, technical diving accidents. Especially in shipwrecks. You can dive down to the sunken Andrea Doria, that wrecked because another enormous ship collided sideways into it. Ship and collect first-class dinnerware as plunder, but people have died, seemingly becoming lost in the complete darkness of the halls inside, or user error in any capacity, such as not having the correct oxygen tank levels, leading to hallucinations and false confidence that makes you drown. Edit. I can't thank you guys enough for all the media recommendations and personal anecdotes from these shipwrecks. I have a lot to binge for the next few weeks, and I am fascinated by the stories shared in these comments. I'm reading every one. The sea is completely indifferent, and if you fuck around you find out. The saved section of your Reddit user profile. I've saved so much shit and then promptly forgot about it. Just like I'm going to do with this thread. Money laundering and how laundered money flows around the world. Most info is public from gov agencies like the CIA and State Department. When I worked at a call center, we often had quiet times and the internet blocked most things. Unusual wiki articles kept me entertained for quite some time though. It's full of random strange things. The wiki for the timeline for far future events. If you want to feel insignificant and learn some shit, check this out. https://en. Wikipedia. org/wiki/timeline_of_the_far_future. Feral children. The history of lobotomies and cannibalism. I have spent more time researching these topics than the time taken to write a 90-page essay. Super fascinating if you don't get grossed out. The domino effect that led up to World War I and then later World War II. It's interesting to learn about, but it's just a clusterfuck of easily preventable situations. Ancestry. I once spent a full 36 hours researching my family history. I literally sat on my couch and traced my family back until they came from Europe. My kids were like WTF, but I would stop to make dinner and all. I just didn't sleep. Did I mention I was completely manic at the time and was more than obsessed? Edit. Holy damn. I didn't realize this would blow up. Thanks guys. Caving and cave diving accidents. Accidentally watched one in YouTube, then went down the rabbit hole. This led to some more parallel topics of horrible fates, bad deaths, etc. After few days, started getting disturbed sleep as this became my routine of watching before the sleep time. With self-restraint, finally I got out of it. People who go missing. This one I'm particularly fascinated with for some reason. Maybe it's because I like this YouTuber and how he formats his videos, but I've watched this video about a missing Canadian girl 3 times. https://b/azlqfyyy0bm. Personally, I think she was groomed by a dude she met online and that guy kidnapped her and is holding her captive, like the Joseph guy from Austria years back. Rabies. You don't quite realize how horrifying it is. Prion diseases. Every single one is weird and dark. It includes cannibalism and family curses. And deers walking on 2 legs. And industrial farming plus forced cow cannibalism. Edit. Thanks for 2,000 upvotes. I would also add treating people with dead people's brain extract, and also that fungi can get prions, but they just don't care that much. Fungi are weird. North Korea. This country lives in its own reality. You can spend hours, days, or even weeks following links to find out the details of their own version of everything we think of as universal. It's like they erased all of human history and made their own culture up whole cloth. They have their own version of communism mixed with religion and idol worship, their own way of dating, science, medicine, sex, movies. They even have their own version of fabric that evidently all clothing is made of that is only made and used in North Korea. Edit. The number of comments here echoing the North Korean party line is really fascinating, as is how many innocuous comments merely saying that they find North Korea interesting or a bit scary are downvoted to invisibility. Binge watching Mayday, the series about plane crashes, and looking up each incident on Google/Wiki afterwards. Sleep paralysis, audio/visual hallucinations across cultures throughout history. It's disturbing. The times where we have gotten close to extinction. There was a false report from a Russian radar thingy and they thought that nukes were coming to them from America. If it wasn't for one person, nuclear Armageddon would have happened because of a software glitch. Another good one is how some horrible stuff like cannibalism is legal in certain scenarios. Things about the universe. It's overwhelming. You get kind of a tremendous existential angst, but somehow you can't stop. Religious cults. There's so many documentaries out there, literally weeks of entertainment. I spent like a solid month a year or two ago watching documentaries/YouTube videos about the Mormon Church. There's a crap ton of videos and articles about the various Christian fundy groups, cults, and once you get deep into the rabbit hole, it's honestly scary. Like straight up sinister. Ask a Mortician on YouTube. https://www.youtube.com/channel/UCI52EYLWSLVLQNME02U5GQ. Caitlin Doughty tells fascinating stories of unusual deaths, cannibalism, historic shipwrecks/accidents, botched cremations, etc. She also has 3 books out on death questions and the funeral business that I've read more than once. Fire disasters. And then never feel safe in an indoor crowded space ever again. There's actually video on YouTube of the Great White Disaster, and it's utterly horrifying how incredibly quickly it happens, and seeing the people literally stuck in the doorway unable to get out as they burn to death. As someone who still goes to a lot of shows at small packed music venues exactly like that one, and other totally packed bars and clubs, I'm always constantly looking for exits to find the nearest escape path, and it always freaks me out anytime there's any fire in any indoor space, candles/sparklers/pyrotechnics/etc. The history of bananas. Mass hysteria. There are different kinds that have affected different cultures in different ways. Multiple times throughout history, groups of people have uncontrollably danced themselves to deaths. In other parts of the world, men can become stricken with the belief that their penis is receding into their bodies. It was often believed the only way to prevent this from happening overnight was for family members to hold their members, etc. The town of Skidmore, Missouri in the U.S. It's sort of a small topic, but it leads in so many different directions. It's most famous for the murder of the town bully. That's a mild name for him. He was horrible, in the middle of the day, on the main street, with a bunch of witnesses, but no one has ever been arrested. But there's also the later case of a woman who was murdered and her unborn baby stolen, and even later a teenager, who was related to the murdered woman, just disappeared and is thought to have been taken by a serial killer. All this in a town of fewer than 200 people. I'm not superstitious, but I also wouldn't move there. There is a documentary on Sundance about the bully, but the best introduction is a book called In Broad Daylight. From there, you just get farther and farther down tangential paths, trying to figure out what have happened. Less info on the 2 later cases, but still an internet black hole you can fall into for days. Chris Chan. Like damn, it's a roller coaster. Cryptozoology. It's interesting to say the least, but there are so many things that make you question what is out there in the world that we haven't discovered yet. When I first got into it, I thought cryptids were more like Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster, but there are hundreds or even thousands of other weird and unusual sightings of creatures many haven't even heard of. I actually just went on one. It started with me going on /r/drugs and looking at the subreddits, sorted by top of all time, for each of the drugs. Terribly fascinating stuff. Some of the accounts you see in particular are far worse than the worst warnings we've been given about heroin, meth, crack, etc. Although I have been on their respective subreddits as well. /r/DPH in particular is a morbidly fascinating case study. A deliriant with seemingly no upsides and a horrific side effect profile. Yet the artwork about it and experiences people detail are, artistically, interesting, and I cannot stop reading the sub. I spent 3 hours on it yesterday. /r/Datura is also interesting but has very little in the way of experience posts and has a lot of photos after you sift through for a while. Of course, nothing is more horrifying than reading the consistent posts from addicted Redditors who tell you to stray away. A large portion of people on /r/DPH are dead, and the members of the sub actually keep a list that they post regularly. Note: never do these drugs. I am not endorsing, nor would I ever do them myself. I read them as a cautionary tale to what happens when you allow yourself to succumb to this. If you have low impulse control, find a different rabbit hole. The Troubles is an endless Wikipedia wormhole of hyperlinking. A fascinating yet strange examination of retaliation spiraling out of control over some of the most trivial differences between fellow people. Cattle mutilations are kind of fucking weird. I figured it was like some kind of a cult group, but it doesn't really account for all of them. Aliens doesn't fit every case either. Those are two of the most popular theories. Some of the explored cases were treated as crime scenes. There were forensics done, that absolutely could not explain how their bodies were cut open and looted of odd choice parts, without leaving any kind of a trail. Macy's Thanksgiving Parade balloon accidents. MT. Everest is a pretty fucked up subject. Cryptids in the Congo. If I ever get rich, I'm gonna bring 100 people to explore it with amazing cameras and deagles and see what is discovered. Reading Reddit comments. Alternate history and the notion that human society didn't just blossom 13k years ago and that there likely were advanced civilizations that were destroyed before then. It's not some zany alien weirdness, but questions about the large amount of cultural similarities between distant ancient civilizations and how they all sprung up around the same time around the Earth. Graham Hancock is a well-known voice about some aspects of this theory. Tuskegee Syphilis Experiment. Skinwalker Ranch. Oak Island. Francis Bacon/William Shakespeare. Amelia Earhart's remains. The Richat structure in Mauritania. The Mary Celeste. Famous names that should have been on the Titanic but didn't go. The atrocities committed by Japan against the Chinese during World War II. Japanese Unit 731, below from Wikipedia. https://en. Wikipedia. org/wiki/unit_731. Unit 731, Japanese, 731, Hepburn, Nanosanachi Butai, Note 1 short for Manchu Detachment 731 and also known as the Kumo Detachment 3, 198 and Ishii Unit 5 was a covert biological and chemical warfare research and development unit of the Imperial Japanese Army that engaged in lethal human experimentation and biological weapons manufacturing during the Second Sino-Japanese War, 1937 to 1945, and World War II. Unit 731 was based in the Pingfang district of Harbin, the largest city in the Japanese puppet state of Manchukuo, now northeast China, and had active branch offices throughout China and Southeast Asia. It was responsible for some of the most notorious war crimes committed by the Japanese armed forces. Unit 731 routinely conducted tests on human beings who were dehumanized and internally referred to as logs. Experiments included disease injections, controlled dehydration, hypobaric chamber experiments, biological weapons testing, vivisection, amputation, and weapons testing. Victims included babies, children, and pregnant mothers. Victims were from different nationalities, but the majority of them were Chinese. Additionally, Unit 731 produced biological weapons that were used in areas of China not occupied by Japanese forces, which included Chinese cities and towns, water sources, and fields. Estimates of those killed by Unit 731 and its related programs range up to 500,000 people. After Japan lost WW2, the US government secretly gave the perpetrators immunity in exchange for the data they had collected with their horrific experiments. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you have enjoyed this video and subscribe to never miss an upload.